From the Delta Sky Club
Welcome back, Miss Klein.
to the Jet Bridge, Delta Airlines relies on 5G solutions from T-Mobile for Business to power operations and serve customers faster. Together, we're putting 5G into the hands of ground staff so they can better assist on-the-go travelers with real-time information throughout the airport. This is elevating customer experience. This is Delta Airlines with T-Mobile for Business. Take your business further at T-Mobile.com/now.
I'm Peter Schrager, host of Good Morning Football on the NFL Network and the Season with Peter Schrager podcast. Whether you're ordering wings for the game or you're whipping up a 7-layer dip or you're ordering a pizza, there's something about football that makes you want to eat. And this football season, Uber Eats has the best deals on game day food, no matter what you're craving. From 2-for-1 pizzas to buy one, get one wings to whatever it is you want, Uber Eats will be dropping new deals each week all season long. Uber Eats is the official on-demand delivery partner of the NFL. Order now for game day. Terms and conditions apply, and see the app for details.
Giants Extra Point is brought to you by Citizens, the official bank of the New York Giants. Citizens is made ready for Giants fans. Hackensack Meridian Health, keep getting better. Peerless Boilers, the world's best built boilers. And by Moody's, decode risk. Unlock opportunity. Learn more at Moody's.com. There's no way to coat this one, folks. This is a bad one. Giants fall to the Carolina Panthers in overtime, 20-17 in Munich, Germany. The big play at the end of the game in overtime, Tyrone Tracy fumbles the football, knocked away by Ashawn Robinson, sets up a Joe Pinheiro game-winning field goal from 36-yard, Eddie Pinheiro, 36-yard field goal to win the game for the Panthers in overtime. Joined by Jonathan Casillas back in East Rutherford, New Jersey. But, JC, this game isn't about what happened in overtime. It's about the missed opportunities along the way. It's about the 2 red zone turnovers. It's about getting over a midfield, trying the flea flicker, getting sacked and not scoring any points. It's about the Graham Gano missed field goal earlier in that first half. The Giants got into scoring position many times, and they could never get enough points on the board. You finish with 17, you have a turnover late, you lose the turnover battle again, and that's the ball game.
Yeah, that's it, man. Missed opportunities the entire game, starting from that first offensive possession all the way down to the first offensive possession in overtime. The Giants, figured out a way to lose this game, and I hate to be able to say that week in and week out, but that's what they're doing. They put themselves in position to win. They put themselves in position to be competitive. And yeah, it was a competitive game. A lot of mistakes on both sides, but the Giants just failed to do it when it really mattered, which was the last few plays of the game.
Yeah, and just, again, multiple opportunities, JC. This is a Panthers team that you look at pretty much any metric. This was one of the worst defenses in the National Football League. Giving up 30-plus a game, look at DVOA, EPA allow, whatever number, metric, advanced, simple, standard you want to look at. This Panther defense had struggled all year long, and the Giants just scored 17 points. And, again, they didn't move the ball great, but they moved it well enough to certainly score more than 17. They had over 300 yards of offense in the game. But 17 points against a defense like this that has struggled is simply not enough.
No, not at all, and that's the thing about the Giants offense. We talked about it going into the game today. The Giants are only scoring 15 points a game. 17, that's not going to win too many games. As a defender, every single week, if you hold a team to 17 points, you give yourself a chance to win. And the Giants literally are averaging 2 points less than that. And today, I didn't think they looked terrible today, but it was pretty much standard with how they've been looking for the year. They're not looking any better. They don't look like they've improved. And now Tyrone Tracy has been a bright spot throughout the season for the Giants. He was a bright spot today, but then at the end, he ended up, losing that fumble at the end. And for me, it's like, I don't know, predictable calls, you know what I mean? Like at the end of the game situation, it's tough to watch, and you just trying to figure out how do the Giants get out of this losing situation that they're in. It's like they're in competitive games, besides the Philadelphia Eagle game in the last month or two, but every single game they figured out a way, or the other teams figured out a way to win games from the Giants when they're close taking this team to overtime. They're close. They get the ball first. They're still close, but then they end up giving it away. They have to figure out a way how to turn this around, because as of right now, it's going downhill and it's rolling really fast.
All right, let's take a timeout. Tonight's game breakdown was brought to you by our local Ford stores. One engine drives this team. For current offers, visit buyfordnow.com. Ford, official truck of the Giants. Timeout. We'll come back. Brian Daboll at the podium. That and a whole lot more as we continue. Right here, Giants fall to the Panthers in overtime in Munich, Germany, 20-17.
You're listening to Giants Extra Point on the WFAN Giants Radio Network.
We're back here on Giants Extra Point. John Schmeelk, Jonathan Casillas with you. Fall to the Panthers in overtime, 20-17. As the Giants fall in overtime, awaiting Brian Daboll at the podium. Jonathan Casillas back in the studio in East Rutherford, New Jersey. And, JC, what can you say about the defense in this game? You look at their overall numbers. Again, I think the rushing defense is something that you have to look at. They've given up 188 yards on the ground in this game. Just a situation where the Giants cannot stop the run.
Yeah, look. When you talk about physicality, when you talk about establishing, your physical presence on the football field, it all starts up front. It all starts with it. Can you run a football? Can you stop the run? And the Giants haven't been able to do that. The Carolina Panthers have had success running the football this year. Hubbard has had success. He's had a good year so far going into this game. He's averaging 4.8, 4.9 yards a carry. But today, young quarterback in Bryce Young, who has played well the last 2 weeks, got his first victory formation last week. You knew coming into this game that they were going to rely heavily on the run, because Bryce Young goes, if he can run the football with that running back, and also the play action pass that it comes off of the running game. So you knew going into this game that you had to do a good job against the run. Knowing that and still allowing that many rushing yards, allowing them to run it later in the game. And look, Hubbard fumbled. But he fumbled because he tore his knee up, so it's not like somebody stripped the ball out. He got hurt and he dropped the ball. Again, remember I talked about it in pregame. Take the ball away. He gave the ball to the Giants. That doesn't happen that often, right? The Giants, defensively, if they don't figure out how to stop teams, the offense is not good enough to put enough points on the board to score and beat most teams in the NFL. Like I said, they're only averaging 15 points a game. Scoring 17 points in 5 quarters of football is not going to cut it against almost any team in the NFL.
Yeah, and look, they held Bryce Young, JC, to just 15 of 25 for 126 yards and a touchdown, so they did the job there. But if you look at it, it's the turnovers again. The Giants have not won the turnover battle in any individual game this year. They've been even in some of them, but they've never won it. And this is another game today. Bryce Young, no interceptions. The Giants still just have 1 interception on the year. The Giants have the Tracy fumble, the 2 Daniel Jones interceptions, both of which happened in the red zone. The Tracy fumble gives the Panthers deep in their territory. So the Giants are -2 in turnover ratio. You lose by 3 in overtime. That's the ball game. It's that simple. That's the ball game.
Yep, and that is the number one indicator of wins and losses throughout the league, is that turnover ratio, that takeaway turnover situation that the Giants cannot figure out. Last year they did a pretty good job at it. If I'm not mistaken, they were number 1 in the league in turnovers. So the Giants, they're not playing good enough football to not win the turnover battle. Schmeelky, like if they were even, but they're 300 yards a game, 150 rushing yards, and they're scoring 20-something points a game, they can afford to do that. But you have to figure out a way. If your offense is not scoring points, your defense is giving a lot of rushing yards, you have to figure out a way to take the ball away. And I keep saying that because it requires an extra effort. Not a lot of people are just going to give you the ball. Not a lot of quarterbacks are going to throw you the ball. And I hate coming down on Daniel, but in critical situations, even today, that pass that Jewell intercepted, that was an all-out blitz. He had to get the ball out early. But the ball placement, something that I continuously talk about with him, it was on the back shoulder of Tracy that enabled Jewell to intercept the ball. Tough catch for Tracy.
I get that, JC, but look. I mean, the ball hit Tyron Tracy in the face. I understand the ball wasn't in the perfect spot. The ball hit Tyron Tracy in the face mask.
I understand. But he's putting guys in tough situations that they have to make incredible catches to not turn the ball over. And that's what we're seeing time in and time out. It's not a one-off play, Schmeelk. You know what I mean? Like, I get it. When it hits your hands, you got to catch it. We've been taught that since the first grade. So I get it. But this is a quarterback who, 6th year, he's been in it. He does throw the ball accurately between the hashes at times. I think he gets himself in trouble sometimes if he has to rush, which he had to do on that last interception because it was an all-out blitz. And also when he kind of has to sit back and he has time and they're playing zone or soft coverage and he has to make decisions. That's where you see the ball come out a little late. Maybe it's accurate, but it's a little late. And then those plays where he has to rush, those are where we see some inaccuracies when his feet aren't set and he has to throw off his back foot.
Yeah, I have a bigger issue, to be honest with you, on the final offense, this next to last offensive possession of the first half when Wando Robinson is wide open on the numbers and he throws it short and it's a skip of a pass. And that's a ball where I really think you can be fairly critical, I think, of the ball location on a pass like that. All right, quick timeout. We'll have more from downstairs. We'll have everybody at the podium when we return here on Giants Extra Point. Again, an overtime loss. Giants fall to the Panthers 20-17 in overtime.
You're listening to Giants Extra Point on the WFAN Giants Radio Network.
We're back here on Giants Extra Point. Brian Daboll's press conference is brought to you by Hackensack Meridian Health. Keep getting better. Here's Brian Daboll at the podium.
Brian, did you contemplate making a quarterback change? No. Thought we could get something going, which we did. Started out slow, had some opportunities there, but did not. Where do you move forward from here in that position and overall? Do you need to consider significant changes?
Yeah, I'll say, Jordan, obviously we're not where we want to be. We'll go back. We'll have our bye week. We'll evaluate things in bye week, do the things we need to do. We'll practice a couple days next week and, evaluate everything. Yeah, I wish I had it back. Didn't work.
There were guys open though on the play.
Yeah, I wish I would have. Wish I had it back. Yeah, bad coaching. I'm sorry. Yeah, look, you never want to turn the football over, and he knows that. But the job is to make sure we maintain possession of the ball. So we'll look at the reason why it happened, the ball handling, good play by the defense, but we can't turn the ball over in this league 3 times and expect a different outcome. No, we had pretty much had a normal Friday and Saturday. Again, it was a great atmosphere. The people here were awesome. Just didn't get the outcome we want.
What do you think this season has gone the way it is?
Yeah, I'm not going to reflect on the season. We just lost a tough game. Certain plays everybody would like to have back, and long trip back, and we'll have a bye week here and make the most of it.
How concerned are you that it seems to be regressing about your overall program rather than progressing in your year 3?
Yeah, I'd say there's certain things we're doing better. The record isn't what it needs to be, but we'll go back, we'll evaluate, we'll do the things we need to do to finish up strong in the second half of the season.
Brian, how do you feel? Grant kicks a field goal, get it in overtime. How do you feel going into overtime? And so momentum.
Yeah, won the toss. Came out and fumbled it on the first play. Go back, watch the tape. I thought the line ran the ball well, protected well. Go back and evaluate it.
Brian, pass, Tracy,
Yeah, the interception.
was it a forced throw? How did you see it?
No, they blitzed. He was throwing hot, and then the guy made a good play.
Should have caught it.
Yeah, I'm going to go back and watch the tape.
Do you need that throw out further in front of him there?
Yeah, I'll go back and look at it. Again, 2 turnovers down in the red zone. We can't have those.
Opening drive, what was the thought process? That's the field goal. There, potentially no field goal. It was like 15.
Yeah, it was. We had our line for the start of the game, and it was beyond the line. No, Clowney made a nice play. Batted the ball up. And, again, turning the ball over twice down in the red zone. Can't have that. Yeah, again, you like Dexter out there all the time, but, there's some plays that he's not out there. At play time and who's in and who's out, I'm not going to, elaborate on that, but. Yeah, no, I'm with you. Yep.
I'm disappointed that Hubbard had such a big game, trying to stress stopping the run.
Yeah, that was one of the keys is, we knew they were going to run the football. I thought they attacked the edges well on a couple plays. Made some explosive plays in that area. 180 yards or whatever it was, 190 yards rushing, almost 6 yards of carry. And a couple of those were aided by big plays on the edge of the defense, and something we got to be better at.
Was there something that happened at halftime with Dexter?
No.
This is up high. There's a chance to kind of reset. What gives you confidence that you can get this thing turned around?
Yeah, I believe we got the right people. Again, results aren't there yet. We just lost a tough game. Got to tighten up quite a bit of things. Some situational football. The turnovers got us today. But we'll go back, we'll go to work, and make improvements that we need to make. Yeah, I'm just focused on our football team, and we're going to do the best job we can and give everything we got to improve the areas we need to improve.
There's going to be a lot of things after the bye coming second half by the quarterback and what his future is here. How do you approach that going into the bye week?
Yeah, I'd say, look, we got a lot of work to do here in the next few days, the next week. We'll evaluate where we're at and what we need to do. Excuse me? How did I see Tracy's day? Yeah, he made made some nice plays like he normally does, and obviously he'd like to have that play back there at the start of overtime. One he fumbled, the returner fumbled. Yeah, he muffed it. Yeah, just thought it was the right thing to do. Punt it.
Anything else? How did you like the final judgment?
Yeah, like I said, we had a good trip here. I really appreciate all the people, whether it was the hotel, the police, the soccer club, very hospitable. It's not the result we wanted.
That's Brian Daboll at the podium after the Giants' 20-17 overtime loss to the Carolina Panthers. John Schmeelk, Jonathan Casillas. I'm in Munich. JC's back at the facility in East Rutherford, New Jersey. Let's take a quick timeout. We'll come back. We'll hear from the players at the podium. That and more. Giants football is brought to you by our local Ford stores. One engine drives this team. For current offers, visit buyfordnow.com. Ford, official truck of the Giants. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Giants Extra Point on the WFAN Giants Radio Network.
This is Daniel Jones, and you're listening to the radio home of Big Blue, The Fan, WFAN, and WFAN FM New York.
Heavy formation to each side. Jones back, fakes the pass, runs to his left, outracing the defense and in for the touchdown. He showed his athleticism there on a naked bootleg, and it looked like the defender had the angle, but Jones was the better athlete, and he beat Cam Gill to the pylon.
That was the culmination of a 13-play, 96-yard drive for the New York Giants. Daniel Jones with the touchdown run, and that pulled the Giants to within 3, 17-14. John Schmeelk here on Giants Extra Point, live from Munich at Allianz Stadium, home of Bayern Munich Football Club, and a very, very tough a 20-17 loss. The New York Football Giants losing overtime to the Carolina Panthers. Jonathan Casillas back there in the facility. And JC, I didn't mean to jump on you on that DJ pick. Look, we didn't have a monitor in here, so I saw it live. I did not see a good replay of the play. Honestly, I just thought that wasn't the best example of bad ball placement, to be totally honest with you.
But
I thought
you used a good example, though. The example you used, the pass to Robinson, where he was kind of open. I wouldn't say wide open, but open.
Oh, he was very open.
and Daniel was like 4 yards, 5 yards short, and look, the Giants the last 2 weeks, Schmeelk, they've dug themselves into deep holes in the first half. And it's not all bad football. It's just when they get into certain situations, whether it's third down or red zone, they just can't figure out how to convert in those situations, right? Like if you look at the first drive that the Giants had, first off, you get a 3-and-out right away. Burns had a sack. This looking like this is about to be a good game for Burns. It's about to be one of those type of dominating type of games against the guy's older team, a little revenge, right? Then the Giants get the DPI on the first play that they have. And then on 3rd and 8, I don't know, like, I've never seen Daniel miss like that since the first pass he threw last year when he came back off an injury to Saquon. Remember that?
Oh, the
pass?
one over Neighbor's head you're talking about?
Yes, that one. That
was another throw, correct. No, you're right about that.
And then, like, I can literally go to every drive, and there's something that they did, and it's not always about mistakes. It's more like just not the right execution, just not quite yet, right? And little things like this, Schmeelk, that really get me, because if the Giants want to start winning games, they have to do the little things better, right? So on the second possession that they had, right, they end up punting the ball. It was 4th and 8, and they drew the Panthers off sides. Why would you do that if you weren't going to, like, punt the ball? Not punt the ball, go for it on 4th. You know what I mean? Like, why waste that false start? Well, it was a defensive, a neutral zone infraction, that they caused. Why not wait until it's a 4th and 2 situation, 4th and 3 situation to get them to jump off sides? Now you get that first down. They did it for nothing. And, like, those little plays, Schmeelk, I'm real ornery about those plays like that people really don't talk about, because –
Hey, JC. I'm sorry. Daniel Jones is the podium. I want to get down to him when he starts. All right? Here's Daniel Jones downstairs. Player press conference brought to you by MetLife, official insurance company of the Giants.
Yeah, not good enough. Anytime you turn the ball over twice in the red zone, not good enough.
Were there any conversations with Daboll about potentially switching quarterback change?
No. He played a good game, had some big-time runs for us. The touchdown was a big run. He's hard on himself and expects a lot, so I think you just pick him up and encourage him. Played a great game. He was big-time for us today. What's that? Look back, see what I need to do to improve, focus on that. I'll be fine. I just got to focus on what I need to do and do it. Threw hot off the blitzer. Go back and look at it. Probably need to put the ball in front more. Well, obviously the turnover in the first half in the red zone hurt us. I don't know. I think we just caught more of a rhythm, started executing better, executed on 3rd down better. We'll go back and look at the rest of it, but we gotta get off to a faster start and stay on the field, sustain drives in the first half. Yeah, I think it's a cool experience to be able to play over here. It's a cool stadium. Crowd was good. Obviously, we got to play better.
My question is not about today's game, but I was wondering how concerned, if at all, you are about Brady's ECTA, and if you think the NFL is doing enough to
Yeah, I think the league's put a heavy emphasis on that in the last few years, and that's something, you talk about a lot. We've introduced the Guardian caps, and I think that's helped in practices. But yeah, certainly aware of it and try to educate yourself as best as possible. But everyone who plays understands the risks of playing.
There's a study, among older players, and 1 in 3 players said that they suffer from CTE, according to them. So when you hear things like this, that 1 in 3 players could be affected by long-term effects, negative effects on your brain, is that something that makes you concerned personally? Do you think about that when you practice or when you play?
Like I said, it's something we're certainly aware of as players, and yeah, so you think about it and certainly aware of it. So you got to do your best to, playing quarterback particularly, protect yourself when you're running and protect your head. But, people, understand the risks when they're playing and accept those when we're out there playing.
You guys are sitting at 2-8 and they hit the 5. Do you do routine?
I think just evaluate what we haven't done well enough, what's holding us back, see where I need to be better and where I can help the team. So, yeah, I think that's the mindset we all need to take going into this second half of the season.
And now we've had 3 or 4 games, losses on 1 possession. How can you turn that and make it into wins?
Yeah, I mean, I think just got to execute in critical situations. I think the turnovers today killed us. There's been other things that have held us back in other close games. So we got to look at where we're coming up short. And I'm not sure it's one thing consistently. I think several things, and we got to every game be dialed in on all those critical things that determine winning and losing. Thanks.
That's Daniel Jones at the podium. Giants football is brought to you by Verizon, the official 5G network of the New York Giants. Verizon, America's most reliable network. We'll have more players at the podium coming up as well. But, JC, just want to wrap up the Daniel Jones conversation. He finished the game 22 of 37, 190 yards, 2 interceptions. Against the Panthers defense, that their pass defense advanced numbers, whether you're looking at EPA per pass, DVOA, whatever number you want to look at, was near the bottom of the league. That is simply not enough production through the pass game. And obviously the Giants heading to the bye week now, and Brian Daboll said they'll evaluate everything at the bye week. It's just a situation where you need to get more out of the offense. The offense is led by the quarterback, and 22 of 37 for 190 against this defense is probably below what both of us thought this offense was capable of heading into this game, given the Panthers' defense so far this year.
Yeah, and given that, they were able to run the ball pretty efficiently throughout the game, that goes hand in hand in what I think the Giants want to do offensively with Daniel Jones. Run the ball, with Tracy. Singletary has some good runs in there too. And even Daniel Jones, off the misdirection, play action, and then he'll, naked or whatever the case is, design runs, scrambles or whatever it is. And then the play action pass game off of that. It worked, meaning the running game was working. Now you have to execute in the play action passing game, right? The flea flicker happened. Wide open Wan'Dale Robinson. And I know Daniel Jones is going to get some heat about that, but rightfully so. Plays like that, you only get those once a year. I don't remember the last time the Giants pulled out a trick play like that on offense. And if the opportunity presents itself, okay, take advantage of it. But it was open. That was the play to make. And with Wan'Dale, with his catch, run after the catch ability, he probably could have made the guy miss and scored. The only person left that was a safety. The Giants keep digging themselves in holes in the first half to where the second half, every single possession matters. Every single possession is critiqued because of the first half hole that they dug themselves in. Now, that's 2 weeks in a row that they did that. I'm not looking at the prior games. I'm just looking at the last 2 weeks, and they did it. Successfully running the ball in both of those games. Well, at least the first game, I'm talking about the Commanders running for 100 and something yards in the first half, but they're down 21-7. And then now, moving the ball how they were in the first half and then being down 10-0. The Giants, they don't have enough firepower to dig themselves out of holes. And this is a Panthers team that's not improved. This is not an improved Panthers team. This team had a lot of penalties. They ran the ball well, but a lot of teams ran the ball well against the Giants. They had 10 penalties. They made a lot of mistakes. They didn't convert a lot. So this is not a new Panthers team. This is the same Panthers team that came into the game 2-7. This is not a new Panthers team that just beat the Saints. Now they're a new team. They're the same team. They just beat two teams that are playing at their level. And the Giants, they're not executing at the right times during situational football.
Well, red
right?
zone specifically, right? I mean, it's obvious.
Yeah, and at the end of games, end of halves, they're just not getting the points where they need because, you can't just wait to the second half to turn on the points. That's what the Giants did the last 2 weeks, and they made it competitive. Yep. But it would have been a different game if situationally it would have went better for them in the first half, and they would have converted. They missed a field goal early. The flea flicker happened early, and then now the second half they get a touchdown. They start moving the ball. It's like, cool. If you would have did anything in the first half, this game would have been totally different.
Yeah, and the Panthers had not shut a team out in any half of football this year, first half or second half until this game.
36 games, Schmeelk.
Well, I didn't see that stat. It's been 36 games.
36 games.
I was going through their schedule, and I did it manually for this year. I didn't go back that far. I didn't have the time to do that here.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah, that is not where you want to be. So the Giants need to get better offensively. And again, they fall to the Carolina Panthers in this game, 20-17 in overtime. For all your office, industrial, and residential moving needs, trust Clancy Relocation and Logistics, the official moving and relocation partner of the New York Giants. Visit ClancyMoving.com. Plenty more reaction from the locker room and the podium when we return. Again, overtime loss. Giants fall to 2-9, 20-17 loss in OT to the Panthers.
You're listening to Giants Extra Point on the WFAN Giants Radio Network.
This is Malik Neighbors, and you're listening to the radio home of Big Blue, The Fan, WFAN, and WFAN-FM, New York.
Malik Neighbors is at the podium after the Giants' 20-17 loss to the Panthers.
Yeah, I did. I went over to him, because I know that feeling. You don't kick a man when he's already down. He know what he did. That feeling is not a good feeling that you got to carry over to the week until it's time the next play, until it's time for you to play the next game. So, I went over there. I told him, that play doesn't define you. That one play doesn't lose us the game, So, I went over there. I said, you played a hell of a game. He's scoring. He's carrying the ball pretty good for us. So we're feeding him the ball. He got us going in the second half with that score. So, he's been doing a great job. He's preparing right. So, you don't kick a man when he's already down. So I shared a couple of words with him just to, lift his courage. But, like I said, how many times people come up to you and tell you it's not your fault, you still got that feeling inside that, it's your fault. But like I told him, it's not his fault.
Malik, when you guys finally got it to overtime, with that field goal, how confident were you that you guys would go down the field and score in the game?
I was very confident. I went up to Dave's. I said, if there's anybody to give the ball to when we get past and to score, I said, let it be me. I said, I'm going to put it on my back whether anything goes right or wrong. I'm ready to take it all. So just put it on me. Mixed emotions, frustration, don't want to try and fix it, try and get better. But as a group, you can't point the fingers at each other. It takes 11 men on that field to win a game. It takes 22 offense and defense for you to win that game, plus special teams. So we got to find our ways to win when, it get dirty. We got to find our way to, stop turnovers, get the offense going. Our defense has been playing a good job. It's hard for our defense to keep going out there tired, trying to get stops, and our offense is not putting points up. So we got to do a better job at playing complementary football, doing good stuff on offense, doing good stuff on defense, and, carrying each other, picking each other up. And that's how you lead. That's how you gain a team. That's how you gain a family. I mean, it's good to just get your body back right. Look at the old film, see what we need to increase on, and that's really it. Say that again. Oh yeah, I got sent to the tent just to receive protocol about that. They saw me get up, grab my head, and they just wanted to, make precautions to my safety.
On that flea flicker, did you think you and or Wendell, were open and had a chance to?
Yeah. I mean, when you look at it, you can see that we were open, but there's many things that's going on in Daniel's face that, us receivers don't see. We just out there running our route. We see that we're open, but it's a lot of things going on in the backfield that, we don't know. I mean, you give the ball to the running back, defense collide down, so they all blitzing. You flick it back, and it's just, us in coverage. But, it's a lot of things going on back there with Daniel. So, I asked him about it. He said, he couldn't see us. So, that's the play.
Take a few more.
Piggybacking off that question about the concussion, I'm wondering if you're concerned at all about CTE, the brain disease, personally.
I don't feel like answering that question. It comes with the sport. You're going to hit your head. That's just the game that we play. We signed up for that.
Do you think the league is doing enough to mitigate the risk by using rule changes, and other safety protocols such as the guarding cap? Do you think that's enough, personally and overall?
They have people with concussions on the guardian cap. We continue to make better helmets for our safety, but that just comes with the game. You're going to hit your head. It's going to be head-to-head contact. It's football. It's what we signed up for. The league has been doing a great job of just, when we hit our head, they take us out, go get protocol, even if something not's wrong with us. Like, I hit my head today. Nothing was wrong with me. I just got up, a little bit like a days ago. But they have been doing a great job of just, having our safety, having our back, making sure we're straight on in our future.
The league, it's a very long flight home, obviously, so it's like here. Is this loss going to make it seem even longer, do you think?
No. It hurts. Another loss, losing season, it hurts. The bigger thing is putting it behind you. The game is over. Can't go back and play the game. Take that ride home. Look on the film. Look on the flight. Just look at the film. Evaluate myself. Try to see on things that I can work on to help the team. And that's really it.
That is Malik Neighbors at the podium. Malik Neighbors in this game finished with 6 catches for 50 yards. JC just 1 yard off leading all players in receiving yards. So that got us on the Factor Fiction in the pregame, bro. We got that one wrong. Tito took us on that one. Tonight's statistics brought to you by the Archdiocese of New York. Learn more at cardinalsappeal.org. For the Giants, I mentioned Neighbors, 6 catches, 50 yards. Rondo Robinson, 5 catches, 51 yards. 4 catches for Jalen Hyatt with 2 big catches on that final drive in regulation to tie the game with that field goal. 4 catches, 39 yards, and Theo Johnson, 4 catches, 37 yards. More stats, but first, Dexter Lawrence is at the podium downstairs. Let's listen in.
That's it. If you watch the game, we was beating him on the O-line. He just threw the ball before we can get there. Really just evaluate yourself before you start pointing fingers or starting clicks or, stuff like that. It's a young team, and, that could happen really easily if the leaders don't jump on top of it. So the message is evaluate yourself and see what you can do better and be critical of yourself this week when you watch tape. No, there's not anything I've seen, but, it could happen. It's the nature of humans. Yeah, we spoke on it in the locker room. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, as a team.
Yeah, so you knew coming into this game, you're going to want to run the ball.
We just got to do better on the edges. You know, with the crack tosses, they was getting that was the main play they was getting yards on. The only play really. We just got to do better at setting the edge and crack replacing. Yeah, I mean, I don't really play a lot of plays. I mean, I don't play 100%, and Devontae was getting the start the second half.
How are you feeling?
Where I play and what teams do to me, I take a lot of a beating, they say. But I feel good. This bye week definitely is going to help. Definitely not 100%. I don't think anyone is, but this week is just for me to get my body right and my mind right and, decompress and come back and be the guy that the team needs.
Are you okay with not playing the first 5 minutes?
Yeah, I mean, that's just the way the game went this time. Yeah.
Next up, what about the German crowd?
The
stadium experience?
The who?
The German crowd, stadium experience, the fans?
Oh, it was really loud all the time. I really didn't know what the cheering was for some of the time. But it was cool. It was cool to play here and get this experience. The grass wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, but it was fun just to be a part of the culture.
Next, it's a new games coming next season in Dublin, Mexico City, new locations. Do you would like to go back with the Giants to a new destination?
You said Dublin?
Dublin, yes.
Where's that?
Mexico City.
Oh.
It's Irish accent, sorry.
I might want to just stay in MetLife. Yeah, it's a long way during the season to travel. It's a little rough.
Take 2 more.
Dex, what's the psyche of this team, in your opinion, at 2-8?
Honestly, right now, I don't know. We just got off the game, so we haven't really been able to talk or communicate for real. So I can't really tell you the psyche, but my psyche is to get ready for whoever we play next. Do all I can to get my mind and body right, and just go out there, just be ready to play.
Do you think the message is still getting through to the locker room?
I think it is. Just got to be comprehended a little better. I think it's getting through. It's just, it's critical moments. And we got to understand what those critical moments are to be able to win and come out on top.
The outside, you said 10 games in, like, you're saying it's not being comprehended. Isn't that troubling to you?
Yeah, it's annoying for sure. But I'm not in other people's heads or brains, or maybe got to be communicated differently, or got to hear from somebody else. So.
That's Dexter Lawrence at the podium. JC, he's one of the leaders on this defense, one of the captains. What was your reaction to what Dexter had to say about not just this game, but where this team is now sitting at 2-8 heading into the bye?
I think he was honest, trying to be, self-reflective, how he has to improve himself, look at himself, and before he starts looking at anybody else, you look at yourself and see what you can do better, but, Dexter's a guy that plays his heart out every single game. He's not perfect, but he's a guy that, that you look up to in terms of the younger guys on the team, anybody on the team, not even just the younger guys, not just because, how he talks and how he handles the media, but the way he plays the game. He doesn't play every snap, but every single time that he gives 100%, and he was a little light at the end talking about playing at MetLife, which was awesome, and
hey, Dexter. JC, real quick, we got
Yeah.
Brian Burns, his fellow defensive leader at the
Of
podium.
course.
I want to get
Yep.
to that. Here's Brian Burns downstairs.
Those are pretty much the main things.
He was just being really patient. He was waiting to find his open seam, his open gap, and he was hitting it. So, just gotta be more gap disciplined with patient backs like that.
That's mentioned the crack toss and the edges were a problem there in regards to stopping the run. What did you see in that regard?
Yeah, crack toss. I think they tried to run one more on me, and then I got a holding call on it, or whatever the case may be. But yeah, those perimeter runs, are a little tricky to fit, especially when it gets, outside of us, the end. It's a little tricky to fit as far as like how the DBs come down and rotate. So we just got to be a little more dialed in on that and, tackle well.
Brian, what happened in that play that you were on the field and you get out of the game? Some injury from the past or just a hit?
It was just a hit. I think I had probably got a deep contusion or something in my thigh, but it's nothing crazy. Just at the moment, my leg went a little dead. It's still the same with me. Take every day as its own day. Take every game as its own game. It's a process at the end of the day. Like I said, our record ain't gonna change overnight. So, just got to stick to the process.
I'm wondering if you heard what Dex said at the end there about the message coming across the guys being comprehended, but maybe not like fully.
What message?
From, I guess, the coach.
I got in pretty late. I had a lot of familiar faces I was outside, talking to. So I got in pretty late. I might have missed a lot of what Daboll said.
What do you think about the message that Daboll's giving the team and how it's getting at the time?
The message he gave after the game?
Just in general, but to your team, like if you're 2-8, the message that he's giving to the team being fully heard and comprehended.
The message.
And brought out to the field and doing what needs to be done for the game.
The message before the game was, detail oriented, focus, do your job, do your 111. I don't know the message after the game. I probably wasn't in there yet.
Brian, you said the other day that this game probably would mean a little more for you.
Yeah.
You said you had a lot of funny things to say. Did it mean more to you? Does it hurt you a little more to lose to the team you came up with in the NFL?
Yeah, it hurt. Losing like that and, losing to a team I spent, extended amount of time with hurt. And, seeing all those faces that was in the building, was a little tough, but it was straight. I was happy to see him. Say it again. Oh, I enjoyed it. They were very interactive throughout the whole game, singing songs, cheering for stuff that didn't necessarily need to be cheered for. But it was fun, I really enjoyed it, so, yeah.
Last one.
Traveling overseas later in the season versus earlier, given your rhythms and routine?
I'd probably like to travel earlier. The only other time I traveled was my rookie year to London, and that was a pretty early game. Later in the season, it's a little taxing, with the sleep schedule and everything. You kind of get in a routine, and it kind of throw you off. But it's kind of good that we got a bye week to bounce back. So.
That is Brian Burns at the podium. Jonathan Casillas back in East Rutherford. You're listening to Giants Extra Point on the Giants Radio Network. Giants fall to the Panthers in overtime 20-17. I didn't mean to interrupt you, poor JC, and I don't know why I called you Dexter when I did. But it's a lot of names flying around here, and I'm not on a lot of sleep. Why don't you finish your thought there, man? I'm sorry.
Well, I was talking about his leadership status with the team, and I think you heard the other defensive leaders speak just now in Brian Burns, and look, I think the bye week has come at a perfect time for the Giants, dropping 5 straight, and as human beings, it's tough. Dexter was asked about the morale.
Hey, JC, we have Tyrone Tracy now. I want to go downstairs. Here's Tracy.
Yeah, it was hard, I put a lot into this game, blood, sweat, and tears, the same old everybody say, but I play with passion. I feel like you can see it on the field. I have a lot of energy, and I hold myself to a high standard. So, when things like that happen with the game on the line, in overtime, we come all the way back, that's the last thing on your mind that you want to happen. So, I feel like for me, like I said, I hold myself to a high standard. So when that happened, all of my emotions kind of just came out of me at that moment.
On the interception, does the guy just make a good play ripping the ball away from you, or is there something you or Daniel could have done differently?
Yeah, he just made a good play. He made a good play on the ball.
What you were your first experience overseas playing in Europe?
I mean, it was a good experience. The stadium was amazing. The fans was amazing. We went to, I think it's called City Square. We went there, walked around. It was good. It treated me well.
You said on the interception, did you have to play on the ball as well, do you think, or did you take it out of your hands, or you beat yourself up for that, or you say no, you made the play?
I mean, I'm always gonna beat myself up. When the ball in the air is in my possession, or if they hand me the ball, whatever it may be. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm always trying to make sure that I'm taking care of it. But yeah, it was just a good play by him.
Take two more.
Did you expect to be all-star running back in the season and be on pace for 1,000 yards? This season you played great ball.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say necessarily like this was my vision, coming into the season. My plan was just to come in and do whatever they asked me from the coaching staff. God has blessed me tremendously to be in this position. You know what I'm saying? So with the skill set that I have and the favor that I have by God, like, it allows me, to take advantage of the opportunities. With really the opportunities that the coaches and the trust that they have in me allows me to go out there and play well.
This is your first NFL experience. How are you processing being 2-8? How the leaders communicating to you guys?
Yeah, I mean, everyone had my back. Like, I mean, you can see. Oh, yeah, I mean, everyone's really I think we're all thinking the same. We have to do better. We have to, focus on the details. I feel like it's evident, when you go back, to last week or into this week, we are a strong-minded team. If a team comes back, and forces overtime, you can't really come out and say that the team isn't a strong-minded team. So I think we just have to, again, just figure out the little details and just come back to work.
All right, that's Tyrone Tracy at the podium. I think that's our final guy at the podium, JC. So wrap it up. You're talking about the importance of the bye week at this time of the year for the Giants. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's past the halfway point, but it's, I think, at a perfect time for the Giants. In particular for their season, that they lost the last 5 after that big win in Seattle. And they needed a break. Need a break. They have a chance to step back, evaluate themselves personally, let the team. The decision makers evaluate, the team itself too, and then come back next week, have a good week of practice, and get ready for the rest of their season. It's tough to win games, of course, but when you drop 5 straight, it's somehow you got to stop the bleeding. A win usually does that, but a break, and have them thinking about this loss for the next week and a half, and then they get ready for the next opponent that they're facing.
All right, let me finish rattling through these stats, and then when we break, we'll come back. We'll talk more about Tracy, JC, because that's one thing we haven't talked much about here. He was 18 carries, 103 yards, a touchdown, including that 32-yard touchdown run. Daniel Jones, 22 of 37, just 190 yards, no touchdowns, and those 2 critical red zone interceptions in the game. Defensively for the Giants, you did not have a ton of guys getting in and around the quarterback. The Giants with just 1 sack in this game from Brian Burns, and that came, I believe, on the Panthers' first drive, if I'm not mistaken.
First pass play.
It was a little play-action rollout. No one blocked him. He got the sack. No other sacks for the Giants in this game. In terms of quarterback hits, officially the Giants had 3 quarterback hits in addition to the 1 sack for 4 total. For the Carolina Panthers, Bryce Young just 15 of 25, 126 yards, 1 touchdown, no picks. Chuba Hubbard, continues to have a good year. 28 carries, 153 yards, and a touchdown. Not a whole lot from the Panthers receivers. Hubbard, 4 catches, 16 yards, 3 for 41 for Coker. Leggett, 3 for 40. Moore, 2 for 18. The rookie Jatavian Sanders, 2 for 8. Ian Thomas, 1 catch for 3 yards. And for the Panthers defense on that side of the ball, for them, they had 2 sacks. They had 3 other quarterback hits besides those 2 sacks, but they did have those 2 interceptions, 2 forced fumbles, and the 1 fumble recovery as well. So those are really the big plays for the Carolina Panthers. Xavier Woods had the interceptions off the Xavier Woods had to pick off the Jadeveon Clowney deflection up in the air, and then Josie Duell caught the interception that hit off Tyrone Tracy's hands in the flat on a pass that was thrown slightly in front of him when it should have been on the other shoulder, but a pass he could have caught, and that turned into an interception. The sacks went for Ashawn Robinson and TJ Wanham, and Ashawn Robinson, former Giant, with the big forced fumble as well, and Wanham with the other forced fumble that was not recovered. So those are your stats. Team stat-wise, the Giants actually outgained the Panthers in this game, 342 yards to 306. Giants 7 of 15 on third down after really struggling in the first half. They were much better in half number 2. They did a much better job with their penalties, just 3 penalties for 15 yards. The Panthers were 10 for 87. Giants won the time of possession battle, 34 minutes, 29 seconds to 27 minutes, 38 seconds. Just shows you how important turnovers are to winning football games. The Giants were -2 in the turnover ratio, and in critical situations, 2 in their red zone, 1 inside their own 20, and that was the ball game. Quick timeout. We'll come back. We'll talk about Tyrone Tracy's day. We'll hear the play of the game. That and a whole lot more as we continue on Giants Extra Point. Giants fall in Munich to the Panthers at Allianz Stadium, 20-17 in overtime. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Giants Extra Point on the WFAN Giants Radio Network.
This is Tyrone Tracy Jr., and you're listening to the radio home of Big Blue, The Fan, WFAN, and WFAN-FM New York.
Jones over center, Tracy the tailback. 1st and 10 at the 32 of Carolina. Opening possession of the third. Handoff for Tracy, trying to find a room. Runs out of a tackle. He's to the 20, 15, 10, to the 5, to the goal line. Touchdown, Giants! Tyrone Tracy on a 32-yard burst, and the Giants are on the board with 8:54 to go here in the third.
That was this morning's play of the game, brought to you by our local Ford store. One engine drives this team. For current offers, visit buyfordnow.com. Ford, official truck of the Giants. And Jonathan Casillas is back in New York. I'm John Schmeelk with Giants Extra Point. Live from Munich at Allianz Stadium, home of Bayern Munich Football Club. The Giants fall to the Panthers in overtime, 20-17. And JC, Tyrone Tracy, great numbers, very productive, but that fumble in overtime was the killer. It's tough for a young guy to have such a good game, but have it really marred by a play that, in the end, ended up costing the Giants the victory.
That's the parody of the NFL, Schmeelk. It's so crazy because if you look at the other side of it, Hubbard had a great game on the ground as well. He fumbles late. He also drops a pass later in the game that could have helped them, seal the game at the end. And then if the Giants would end up winning, they would have looked at Hubbard kind of in a similar fashion, right? But that's the NFL, man. It's up and down league in the game. It doesn't have to be week to week. It happens in the game. But Tracy has been a bright spot for the Giants, especially when you look at the Giants offense. Consistently running the ball well, a big play waiting to happen, and I'm just proud that he's making the strides. And I'm proud of what he said in the post-game, presser. He sounds very mature when he speaks, and I think he has a bright future for the Giants.
Let's pause 10 seconds to give our stations across our network a chance to identify themselves on the WFAN Giants Radio Network.
WFAN, WFAN FM, WFAN FM HD1 New York on Odyssey Sports Station.
Giants fall to the Panthers in overtime in Munich, 20-17. Giants TV presented by Bob's Discount Furniture is the official connected TV app of the New York Giants. Available for free now on Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, and inside the Giants mobile app. Stream game highlights, interviews, TV shows, and more exclusive video content with Giants TV. All right, before we say goodbye to our network, we'll continue on our flagship station, WFN in New York. JC, give me your final thoughts on this game for the network, and what are the key things the Giants need to do here at the bye?
Well, it was a tough game for the Giants. I think they dug themselves in too much of a deep hole in the first half. So it's like despite their efforts in the second half, they were just in too much of a deep hole to get themselves out of. From a team that in the Panthers that haven't really had success this year. Their second win came last week against the Saints. So this is not a winning team. This is not a team that understands how to win games, but the Giants left a lot of opportunities out there that they capitalized on later in the game. And then, of course, that mistake, two mistakes, basically in Tracy's hands with the interception and the fumble. But look, this is a week where they can sit back and evaluate, get away from football for a while. This is a long flight back, so they got a long time to reflect on the game. But when they get back, just get away from ball for a little bit. Be with your family. Be with your kids. Go hang out with your dog. Play some video games. Don't go nowhere. Don't travel nowhere. Stay local, but be around some love. Be around some loved ones. Get away from ball. Cut ball out your mind for a couple of days, and then get back, refocus, ready to go, because the second half of the season is starting when they get back to practice.
Please stick with us if you're listening on our local flagship station, WFAN in New York. But it's time to say goodbye to the affiliates across the country on the Giants Radio Network. Our next broadcast will be in 2 Sundays. Next week's the bye week, so it'll be 2 weeks from today. So that would be November 24th. The Giants will host the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at MetLife Stadium. Kickoff at 1 o'clock. Pregame show across our network will begin at noon. Enjoy your bye week, everybody. Thanks for listening to us today, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. Enjoy the bye week on the WFAN Giants Radio Network. Again, the Giants fall to the Panthers in overtime, 20-17. Here in Munich. Thanks for spending your Sunday morning with us. We had a pleasure of bringing you all this coverage from across the Atlantic Ocean. Thank you so much. We'll see you in 2 weeks on the WFAN Giants Radio Network. But we're not done right here on WFAN in New York. Jonathan Casillas will be joined by Paul Dottino. I got to get on a bus on an airplane or I'm going to be left in Europe. So Paul's going to run over. He will join JC. He'll take you the rest of the way and take your calls at 888-808-1019, 888-808-1019, and they'll take your calls and break down the game for another 45 minutes or so on WFAN in New York. Thanks for being with us from Munich, everybody. I got to run and get on a bus. JC and Paulie Dots will take you the rest of the way. I'll talk to you guys in a couple weeks. Make sure you stay tuned. I'll be on BBK tomorrow, Big Blue Kickoff Live, Monday and Tuesday, 12:30 on Giants.com, the Giants mobile app. Check me out there. We'll have all the review of the game. I'll have the tape watched. And we'll go through all the good, most of the more bad, unfortunately, and everything else on Big Blue Kickoff Live. Paul and JC will take you the rest of the way. We'll be back with more after this on the WFAN Giants Radio Network.
This is Daniel Jones, and you're listening to the radio home of Big Blue, The Fan, WFAN, and WFAN FM New York.
Tracy to the right of Jones in a shotgun set. 2 receivers left. Delayed handoff for Tracy. Not a lot of room. And he fumbled the football, and the Panthers say they have it. They do! Tyrone Tracy on the first play of overtime fumbles the football, and the Panthers recover it at the Giants' 23-yard line.
Josie Jewell with the recovery. A'Shawn Robinson, a former New York Giants defensive tackle, was the guy who broke it free, and that was the Giants' turning point of the game. Listen to Boomer and Gio on our flagship station WFAN tomorrow morning in the 9 a.m. hour for the Giants' Turning Point contest. The first correct caller to name the game's turning point will win 2 tickets to an upcoming Giants home game. Paul Dottino and Jonathan Casillas with you in East Rutherford as we continue to break down the Giants' overtime loss to the Carolina Panthers by the count of 20-17. You know, Jonathan, it was kind of odd to me that once Carolina got that ball, they then ran Chuba Hubbard 3 consecutive times before Pinheiro kicked the 36-yard field goal to win it. Now, if I'm Carolina, I'm kicking that field goal right away. It's only a 40-yard attempt, or give or take a foot, from where they got the recovery. I'm saying to myself, if I'm the Giants and they're going to run Hubbard into the line, I'm not even thinking about tackling him. I'm just punching the ball.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get that ball free. I want that turnover to come back to my side. Forget about trying to wrap him up and tackle him. Get that ball. Why would the Panthers give the Giants 3 chances to knock the ball out?
Yeah, I hear you. But first you got to secure that tackle first. Definitely got to secure the tackle first. Hubbard's a guy, if you don't get him, right away, he's a guy that can break tackles, break arm tackles, and then he can take it the distance too. But, I don't think it should have even gotten down to that, Paul. The Giants dug themselves such a deep hole in the first half. We've seen it 2 weeks in a row where they had some, success on offense, especially last week. But this week they dug themselves in a hole to where they started the second half being down 10-0. And the Giants just don't score enough points to dig themselves a hole like that. Missing a lot of opportunities in that first half from the first drive on. The Giants missed a lot of opportunities against the Panthers. Look, the Panthers are no world beaters. They haven't had a shutout. Paul, I saw this stat as the game was being played. They haven't had a half shutout in 36 games. This is their first half shutout in 36 games. So this is not a world beater. This is not the top tier of the league. The Panthers are not a good football team. They showed it today. They had a lot of mistakes, 10 penalties for almost 100 yards. And even at the end of the game, they made a lot of mistakes. They fumbled. They dropped the pass to seal the game. They did a lot of mistakes, and they gave a lot of opportunities for the Giants throughout the entirety of the game, and the Giants just failed to take advantage of it.
All right, our number here, if you'd like to chime in, is 888-808-1019. 888-808-1019 if you want to give us a phone call and talk New York Giants football. Jonathan, I think, the one thing that really is going to bother this team is they come back on a 10-hour flight from Munich, and that's going to be a tough one.
A lot of reflection there.
Okay, it's going to be a real tough one. I don't really care so much for red zone stats anymore because that's when you get inside the other team's 20. I say if you get inside the other team's 30, that's the scoring zone.
Okay.
Whereby you should be able to make a 47-yard field goal. Anything from that and in. With these kickers today, that's like 90%.
Yeah.
So to me, that's where you have to get to if you're going to get points. I want to know what was the team's efficiency inside the 30 because that's the scoring zone, all right? The Giants on the season are only scoring on 2/3 of their opportunities in the scoring zone. A third of their chances, they're coming up with zero points. Zero. We're talking now, you get to the 30 you're in. That should be automatic field goal territory.
Absolutely.
And a third of their chances, they have zero. I don't think I need to tell you what that does to an offense or what that does conversely to the other team's defense when they shut you out even though you've been knocking on their door. Now today, the Giants had 3 opportunities during which they came up empty in the scoring zone. They had Gano wide right on a field goal, and they had 2 interceptions by Jones, one deflected by Clowney, that was then picked off on a right roll, and then the other one on a pass that was thrown behind Tracy right there at the end of the game inside the left sideline. So think about that. 3 opportunities where you should have come away with at least 3 points on, what, you want me to be generous, on 2 of the 3?
Yeah.
Well, that gives you enough points to win, doesn't it?
It does, yep. And I even look at the first possession that the Giants had, first play of the game, play action, deep ball, down the sideline to Hyatt, defensive pass interference. That ended up being a 43-yard penalty that put them on the plus side of the field. And then on third down, we talked about this during the game, that was – look, Jones is not the most accurate quarterback, but he doesn't airmail balls like that. Definitely not on a consistent basis.
Not usually.
And that was way – I don't know if that was a
the 3rd and 8, he was looking
with
for neighbors on the right.
Yeah, he had it was like a triple move that he had, and he just airmailed it. And that's how the game started. So the Giants,
and by the way, that stalled the drive at the Carolina 38, a little bit
right,
out of
outside,
the scoring zone. But they were certainly in position where they could have threatened.
Right, but they had that big play, even though it was from a penalty. So what? A big play is a big play. The Giants take whatever they can get, But usually big plays equal points. They don't have to be touchdowns, but some type of points need to come out of a drive where you have one play that gives you 43 yards, and the Giants failed to do that. And then the next time they got in that situation, they missed the field goal. So the Giants literally are just, Paul, week in and week out, especially the last 2 weeks. I'm looking at last week too, where the Giants ran the ball very efficiently in the first half against the Commanders and still were down 21-7.5. That's 2 weeks in a row where the Giants are down at halftime, and they're just digging themselves out of holes. So everything in the second half, gets magnified that much more, whether it's a drop pass, an inaccurate pass, a fumble, whatever the case is. The Giants don't do well in the first half enough to make basically any mistakes in the second half. And that's what you're looking at. You're looking at the Giant team that needs to play perfect for every single possession in the second half because they dig themselves in such a deep hole.
Well, and that's why it really stinks for the Giants, because in the second half, they get a 65-yard touchdown drive. They get a 96-yard touchdown drive, which, by the way, the 96-yard drive ties their longest drive of the season. They had a 96-yarder in Seattle, which you'll recall then Eric Gray fumbled.
Yep.
And then Seattle ran it back for a score. And then the Giants also get a 55-yard field goal drive. So they had 3 really sweet drives, and Daniel Jones was sensational on the final 2-minute drive of the fourth quarter as he brought them downfield to send the game into overtime on Gano's field goal at 17-17. But ultimately, again, too many missed opportunities come back and bite you in the butt, because you can only climb up Mount Everest so far before the weather conditions stall you and send you back down the mountain.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the calls. Cliff from Manhattan, you're first on the Giants Extra Point. Good to talk to you today. How are you?
Hey, guys. Yeah, thanks for the rundown and before with Schmeelk. I have a few things. I really think there's a lot to feel good about, quite frankly. But first of all, I wanted to talk about A'Shawn Robinson. It was really ironic that he makes the punch out. I thought that was more of a punch out than a fumble. And I don't know if anything was wrong with Tyrone's arm, because they said he was, they weren't sure he was coming back in the game because he left the game with his arm dangling at his side. I don't know if it's the one, if that had anything to do with it. But it was ironic that it's a 10-year veteran almost, if he's not 10, A'Shawn, that makes that play. And the reason he's not here is because Schmeelk had an interview on the huddle before the 2022 season, and you guys have a counterpart in Buffalo, and they wanted what could we expect as the Giants try to come up to be a competitive team year in and year out. What did the Daboll and Shane guys do up there? And the first thing he said was they got younger. So that's the only reason A'Shawn's not here. So maybe we don't have anybody that replaced him yet, but that goes back to the whole young team thing. And when we were getting gashed on defense, it was so frustrating. But then I thought, well, wait a minute, we've got good players. Where are they? And then on that fumble by Hubbard, Jonathan, you know that his knee was turned the wrong way, but Tracy made that play. He pulled his arm out and caused the fumble. So maybe it was both his knee and Tracy, but I didn't hear Tracy getting any credit for that. And then on their, I thought we had a lot of rhythm on offense, but on the plays that, the big interceptions, Clowney made a play, man. They're still a lousy team, but he made a play. And on the interception with Tracy, wasn't that linebacker having some pretty exceptional coverage, even if the ball was closer to Tracy's middle or more towards the other shoulder? I'm not so sure he catches that. I don't usually see on a hot read a linebacker climbing all over the running back like that. It just seems like as much as they could have been had, those guys made a couple of plays. And we made a couple of plays too. But I just think we don't look like we're incapable, We really look like we're capable. And as you guys keep saying, we just seem to have the worst things happen at the worst possible time.
Cliff, the Giants keep shooting themselves in the foot, and at about this point, they don't have any more toes left.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to be funny. I'm making a pun because it's the only way to prevent from being disgusted, because I know how those players and coaches feel.
Yep.
They put so much into this every single day during the week, and then to have that happen to them, it's painful, Jonathan.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not like last year where a lot of games were not competitive. We had 2 games this year that wasn't competitive, I think, and the Philadelphia Eagles and then the Minnesota Vikings.
By the way, Cliff, thanks for the call. Go ahead, Jonathan.
Thank you, Cliff. Always good talking to you, Cliff. Those are the only 2 games that were competitive. Giants were in every single game after that, and that's what makes those being detailed so important. because these games are close. These games will come down to a play here, a play there, late in the game. Sometimes, like today, it'll take 5 quarters of football, 5 quarters of situational football that you have to prepare for, and the Giants just keep falling short week in and week out. And I talked earlier about the bye week being at this time. It never comes at the perfect time, but for the Giants, I think this is a perfect time for the bye week, losing 5 straight after a huge win in Seattle, dropping 5 straight. One game, I wouldn't say kind of not competitive in the Eagles game. It was competitive early, but every other game the Giants were in, they have to take a step back. I told them, get away from football, be around your family, be around loved ones for a day or two, and then get back in football, revitalized, refocused, and evaluate yourself personally. And then, of course, there's going to be evaluation from the coaches, the whole, from everybody to see moving forward what this Giants team is going to look like face the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in 2 weeks.
All right, so that's your piece of advice as a former New York Giants player who has shown a lot of leadership skills during your time here. Let's go to co-captain Bobby Okereke, who was able to address the media shortly after the game in Munich, Germany. Our producer, Pete Hoffman, was able to catch up to him.
Bobby, you're a veteran of this team now, and the team's 2-8, and it's every loss seems like it's like another dagger. How as a leader do you tell these kids, these younger players on this team, like it's going to get better?
Man, you got to stay resilient. It takes a tough person to have a positive mindset in tough situations. You got to look at the reality of it. It's raining right now. It's pouring on us, but you got to have that perspective to learn how to dance in the rain. Understand that your hard work in adverse situations, adverse circumstances is going to pay off. It might not pay off today. It might not pay off tomorrow. At some point in time, it's going to pay off, and when it does, you'll be grateful, and you'll thank yourself that you stayed consistent to your process and you stayed positive. So that's really all you can do, because what's the alternative? Quitting and having a negative attitude and being selfish. That's not the character of any of the guys in our locker room. So we're going to continue to fight. We're going to continue to work hard. We're going to continue to be very critical of ourselves and just go to work every day.
And, again, like, how's the coaches' works these days? Is it hitting home? Are guys...
Go ahead.
I know that you're able to walk away being positive, but are the younger teammates able to walk away with that?
It is. Everybody's frustrated. Coaches, players, front office, staff, everybody's frustrated. But, that's where me as a veteran, like you said, on this team, guys like Nacho, guys like Dex, can really set the example. Because a lot of these young guys, they hear the coach's message, but they look at older guys and see how they respond. The onus is on us to set the example and forge forward.
And what do you do going forward, though? Like, it's 2-8, but it doesn't seem, it seems grim. Playoffs is whatever, but like, what can you do on the field? What can you do on the field to change things? Because it seems like it's a play or two here or there.
Yeah, it's a play or two here or there, and that's the thing. 2-8, 8-2, 6-6, whatever you are. It's the same mindset. You're either getting better or you're getting worse. So you go to practice every day and you work hard. You focus on your craft. You be professional about it. This is our job, and you strive for excellence. You might fall short of that, but it's the intent and the attitude that you have that's what's shows your character.
Big plays hurt the Giants once again, and as Bobby Okereke alluded to, you've just got to keep your focus and you've got to keep your fire and your desire going forward, because you can't let this stuff beat you down. The Giants gave up 6 plays today of 20 yards or longer, and the big plays have been a bugaboo for this team all throughout the course of the season. Okereke, by the way, finished with 11 tackles today. Second time in the last 3 weeks he's had double-digit tackles in a game, but it's not getting any easier. And as he and Dexter Lawrence said during the week, you hate to go into the bye with a loss because you got to think about it a long time. It's 2 weeks before the Giants get back on the field here at MetLife Stadium against Tampa Bay.
Yeah, look, the Giants got a lot to reflect on. This is a long plane ride back, but like I said before, the Giants got to get a chance. They have a chance to get away from ball for a little bit. It's been real rocky here. You know, when I say rocky, New York, New Jersey, this area, these people here, they love football, but at the same time, they will get on you. You know, and that's what they've been doing. They've been on us a lot. You know, I say us as an organization, you know, and it was about time that the Giants took a little break from football. You know, they have been putting that good product out there, which we've, you know, culturally we've been known to have. You know, the Giants are a winning organization. You know, so I think the guys need to take a step back, relax, you know, reflect on what's been happening, and, you know, and then come back next week fired up, ready to go. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, yeah, they lost a couple of receivers. Godwin's out. Mike Evans, I don't know if he's returning. I know he had a hamstring that he's dealing with.
Yeah, but Sterling Shepard's back.
Yeah, Sterling's there. And Baker's still throwing that ball around the field.
Yes, he is.
He is still throwing that ball around the field, so the Giants are definitely going to have to, you know, have a lot better showing than they did today.
Okay, before we get to another break, let's go back to the phones. And Jim from Rockland County, you're next on the Giants Extra Point. Hello.
Hi, thanks for taking my call. I got 3 points I want to make. First point I want to make is I'm looking at the Schoen Daboll regime, and I can honestly say the Giants are not better today than when they took over. I would argue that they're worse. Secondly, how does a GM sign a backup quarterback that is not good enough to play in a game? I think it was obvious today, and I listened to Kurt Warner, that there were many, many opportunities where Jones had wide open receivers, and he either didn't get the ball to them or he didn't see them. And when do you make a change and say this experiment is not working? Because in all honesty, this year is over. What does the future hold for us? We have a defensive coordinator. I argue that they picked up his scheme weeks ago, and they've made no adjustment. Teams are running all over us like we're not out there. It seems to me we have a good enough cadre of individuals defensively. We should be able to make a stop. We can't make a stop. So
all right, Jim, we'll listen to us off the air. We'll get your comments or get comments in for you because we got to get to a break real quick. But thank you for calling. Let's address these 3 things. I'll say this. This roster is absolutely better than it was when Shane and Daboll took over. Certainly salary cap-wise, they're in better shape. Youth-wise, they're in better shape. Potential and upside, they are certainly in better shape. There is absolutely no question about that, so I would dispute your first point. Your second point, the Giants stuck with Daniel Jones, and in the second half, he was 13 of 20 for 119 yards and led the Giants to 2 touchdowns and got them the tying drive by leading them to that field goal in the final 2 minutes. By the way, with no timeouts in his pocket, he had the 2-minute warning, and that was it, and got them back. So I would say, what were you wanting them to do? Put in Locke, put in DeVito, as if they were going to do better than what Jones did? Now, again, he did not have a good first half. He looked like he was lost. He did not play well at all. But they stuck with him. They showed faith in him, and he rewarded them by getting them 3 scoring drives and sending the game to overtime. So I would unfortunately have to disagree with your point there of even thinking about putting in a backup quarterback, whether it be Locke or DeVito, because Jones did what he had to do to get off the canvas. Now, the third point, where do we go with that one, Jonathan? What
was the third point?
His third point was, at what point do you start second guessing where you're going with this team?
Yeah. Well, listen, I think there's questions. There have to be questions. These are grown men over there that love to win. Everybody in the NFL loves to win. We all hate to lose. We all love to win. So they're all personally going through what they're going through. There's a lot of reflection that's going to be on this flight. But I do hear his point. Because I also agree with you with his first question that you answered, that the Giants are basically better everywhere, you know, but not at the record, right? The Giants right now are 2-8. You know, 2 years ago, with his point, I think they started 6-2, if I'm not mistaken. The Giants started 6-1.
Well, that was the playoff season of 2022.
Right. That was 2 years ago. That's what he said.
Yes.
He said 2 years ago. So at that point, which would have been 2 weeks ago, the Giants were at 2-6, and you know, at week 8, 2 years ago, they were at 6-2. So I hear his point in terms of, and I'm taking your point in that the Giants are better basically everywhere. You know, maybe not the running back position, but Tracy has been very, very good for the New York Football Giants. Offensive line, I want to talk about that too. Offensive line has got better. You have possibly an elite playmaker on the offensive side of the ball, and Malik Neighbors, right? You have a surrounding cast. Wandale Robinson has emerged. He's healthy this year. Defensively, Dexter Lawrence is one of the best players, if not the best defensive player. You have a middle linebacker that's very capable of making plays, game-changing plays. He forces the ball out all the time. He has a supporting cast. Defensive backs are very young, but all around the Giants are better, but the record is not. And that's the point I think he may be trying to make, because when you look at them on paper, you look at them, you know that they are a better team than what we saw from 2022. But on record, they are not a better team. They haven't found a way to win games. 2022, they did. Every single week, they were in close one-score games, and they won, I think, 9 out of 11, if I'm not mistaken, that year.
Well, now, here's where I'm going to go with that third point, and it's very simple. It goes back to the first point. The Giants are a much younger team right now. They're playing a lot of younger guys, an awful lot of snaps. This gentleman wanted to know about, I guess it was Jim, wanted to know about when do you change direction or turn the page. How can you? You're playing a bunch of your young guys already. Yeah. There's nobody to bench to bring on another young guy to say, well, he's our future. No, these young guys, you have to go through their growing pains. That's the whole point. That's why you go through a season like this, because you want those young, talented players to get all their kinks out during a year like this where things don't go well. Then you wash all those kinks out, and you hope that all those first, second, and third-year players that gained all of this extra experience and playing time will mature from this and be better.
And there's a lot of positives to take from the game, and I'm trying to look at it in a positive light. I hate to lose, even though I'm on this side of it now.
Everybody,
right?
Who likes to lose?
We sit together every single game. Away games are a little different, but today we were able to sit together, and both of us the whole entire game, we're going back and forth. We're livid. We're excited that the Giants are scoring. But I did take some positives away. Evan Neal got some playing time today. He played today. He started today.
Could be the turning point in his career.
Listen, we talked about this. We were both excited. When I came in here, you told me, the first thing you said to me, Evan Neal starting at right tackle today. I got fired up.
And he's going to play well.
I got fired up. Look, this is another opportunity for a guy who was a dominant player in college. Hasn't really had his luck in the NFL. A lot of injuries in his young career. Not playing well at all. And I'm not going to say he has. But today, we didn't call his name one time. No procedural penalties. Nope. I don't think he gave up a sack.
Nope.
If I'm not mistaken. He looked good.
Next Gen Stats had him for one pressure in 41 pass protection snaps.
That is light years beyond what he's been doing in the NFL.
That's flat out good for any right tackle.
And he is a young guy that these guys drafted. In last year's draft, the Giants hit a home run. This past year's draft, Tyrone Tracy, Malik Neighbors, Tyler Nubin, Drew Phillips. Who else am I missing that's playing right now? Theo Johnson. Who else? They're all playing. Every single draft pick for the Giants are playing.
So you've already kind of turned the page in that you're letting these young guys learn on the job.
The only thing is, though, they have to figure out how to win games with this, with this young crop of guys, with a quarterback who, as of the last 2 weeks, struggles early in games. You have to figure out how to win games, because you can't end every season 2, 3, 4 games under 500.
No.
You can't do that.
It fosters bad habits.
100%, and the Giants culture here is a winning culture. The Giants have 4 Super Bowls, and a lot of these young fans, they've only seen a couple, but most of our callers that call in, the older gentlemen, they've been here from the losing seasons of the 70s and early 80s. They've been around since the 86 Super Bowl, the 90 Super Bowl.
Just watch who you call older gentlemen.
The older gentlemen. See, I didn't call you old. I call it older gentlemen. Because we have some great callers here that consistently listen and consistently call in. And I feel like, look, I've been more appreciative of the fans because now I'm on this side of it and I get to speak to these guys on a consistent basis. So for me, and I always had respect and appreciation, but it's exponentially more now that I get to talk to these guys on a consistent basis. And they need some winning. They need it. Like, that's what this Jersey, New York area, they need it. They're suffering right now. The Jets are struggling. The Yankees just lost in the series. The Mets were close to. They need some wins.
Well, the Liberty won.
The Liberty did win. The Liberty did win.
I know your daughter liked that.
Yes, she did.
All right. We will take more of your phone calls at 888-808-1019 after we take this time out on the Giants Extra Point. You're listening to The Fan in New York City.
You're listening to Giants Extra Point on the WFAN Giants Radio Network.
This is Jermaine Luminor, and you're listening to the radio home of Big Blue, The Fan, WFAN, and WFAN FM, New York.
Welcome back to the Giants Extra Point. Paul Dottino and Jonathan Casillas with you. The Panthers beat the Giants in overtime 20-17 in a heartbreaker for Big Blue over in Munich, Germany. Now, Jermaine Luminor, the gentleman you just heard from, moved to left tackle today. First time he had played on that side since the Giants had decided that Evan Neal would be able to come off the bench and make the start at right tackle today. Giants gave up 1 sack, but I have a hunch that as we hear from Jermaine Luminor, he's probably not a very happy camper right now.
3 days practice is, I'm not going to pat myself on the back, but because I have a really high standard for myself, but I feel like I did everything I could.
You're really an optimistic guy about this team. I mean, what's the reaction being 2-8? Like, how shocking is this to you? Or how do you even think about that?
I think the biggest thing with this is just being honest with yourself. And I mean, if you go back and shoot, like 4 or 5 games, we should have won, could have won. When we were in it to the last second. Yeah, I'm still optimistic just because that's my mentality. You know, obviously, like I always tell people, I've been at the bottom and I've been depressed and everything. So for me to avoid that and not to go into that same place, optimism and confidence is the only thing that can keep me away from that. And that's why I'm the most optimistic guy you're meeting, confident guy you're meeting. You know, so I think that there's definitely things we can clean up on our side of the ball. Definitely things we can try to do more. I feel like we ran the ball great. And when we had to throw, we did our jobs as an offensive line. I can't talk much about other positions because I don't play those positions, so I can only focus on our position group, and I feel like we did what we needed to do. Obviously, there's always plays and series where you can try and do more. So, I'm going to keep being optimistic. 2-8 sucks, and 2-8. I told myself to I stamina, and a lot of guys on the locker room do. So I think the bye week's coming. We just need to reflect on everything and see what we can do to finish out this season strong.
Do you think there needs to be significant changes, though? Like you have the bye week, you have a couple weeks here, as much as you kind of can, or is it kind of just stay the course? You think?
I think the big thing with that is, and what I've learned, just being in the league for 8 years now, is you can't get, as a player, you can't get into things that you think need to be changed. Obviously, everyone has their opinion on things that you think can be better. All you can do is focus on your job, because at the end of the day, we only get to do this for so long, and we try to maximize every single game and every single day in this career. And so with me, I'm just going to keep focusing on what I can control. I can't control any of the personal decisions, like whatever's going on out there. All I can control is blocking my guy on that play and going out there and trying to move guys off the ball and just trying to dominate the guy in front of me. So I think that obviously we have the talent to do something this season. I mean, 2-8 is that's a terrible record. I think it is the worst record I've ever had in my career, but also at the same time, I think me being an older guy, it's my job to kind of be that guy that guys can look at and try to follow, and it's a weird position for me because I've never had to be in that position, but I feel like I'm getting, I feel like my inner self is telling me, hey, be that guy that lifts people up now. You've been around some good teams, you know what it takes, so try and bring that out of everyone.
I would think that Jermaine Luminor will continue at left tackle after today's performance, and we will see Evan Neal get some more chances on the right side. By the way, Daniel Jones was 22 of 37. He was sacked twice. Let me revise that number. He was sacked twice today and did throw those 2 interceptions that we talked about earlier. That's his passing line. Giants ran 34 times total for 167 yards. A couple of touchdowns, one by Tracy, one by Jones. Tracy was 18 for 103 and had the end zone scamper of 32. Let's go back to the phones. And Tyler from Shelton, Connecticut, you're next on the Giants Extra Point. Hello.
Hey, good afternoon, guys. Thanks for having me.
Sure.
I spoke to you guys week 1. After that debacle, here we go again. Another week. Season ticket holders, the 4 of us. Obviously, thankfully, today we weren't there because that would have been a terrible trip. But, week in and week out, we're watching this terrible product with Daniel Jones at the helm that's being trotted out there by John Mara. And I know you guys are going to continue to defend him. Everyone calls up and defends him. But he cannot be out there as a starting quarterback of this team anymore. He is a loser. John Mara is a loser, and this is terrible. It is a struggle for us as fans to go week in and week out and watch this terrible losing product.
All right, Tyler. Thank you for the phone call. I think the two things that he's misguided on is, number one, the coach makes the decision as to who plays and if he is going to be removed from the game. So it is Brian Daboll who has decided to send Daniel Jones out to take snaps from center, and it was Joe Shane who decided to sign Daniel Jones to a contract extension following the playoff victory over Minnesota. John Mara did not make either of those two decisions. So the point's a bit misguided, but I do understand the frustration.
Yeah, I understand the frustration too. We hear you. It's rough right now, and I hear it because we're feeling it too, over here at the Giants facility. It was a little bit of highs, but a lot of lows today, but that's kind of how it's been during the season, and look, if Daniel Jones is the guy continuing moving forward, he has to play better. Like, there's no question about it.
Today's a microcosm to some degree of what his season has been. He has certainly had some couple of bad games, and he had a bad half today. Yeah. Okay, but then on the flip side of it, you couldn't really complain much about the second half that he had because he brought them out of the quicksand and got them into overtime. Yeah. And in fact, the Giants won the toss, and Daniel Jones had nothing to do with that turnover that cost them the game.
And I know the quarterback position is a very important position. I'm not taking anything from it, the impact that good quarterback play has, but it's not only Daniel Jones. It's not like everybody's catching every pass. Tracy fumbled the ball literally the last play of the Giants offense. He fumbled the ball. Defensively, they haven't been able to stop the run the entire year. So I'm not going to take blame from Daniel Jones, but it needs to be distributed throughout the team because it's not like everybody's playing well. Defense is shutting guys down, holding them to 14 points. It's not happening. The Giants are giving up a lot of rushing yards. The Giants are giving up
188 today, by the way.
Not like a lot of points, but there has been games where teams has, totally outscored the Giants, and no matter what they would have did offensively, they didn't have a chance. So can't put it on one guy. I'm not defending him because I think you need to put blame on the quarterback because he hasn't done a good enough job in the games that they lost to win those games. He's had chances late in games to win games. Steelers game, he had several opportunities at the end of that game, to win the game, to do certain things, to move the protection, to block the best pass rusher in football, and T.J. Watt, and he didn't do it. So I'm not defending him, but the blame needs to get distributed because it's not one person that gives you a 2-8 record. It's a collective effort. Just like if the team was 8-2, it wouldn't be just the quarterback. Everybody takes the blame for being 2-8. Everybody.
All right, back to the phones. And Robbie from Lenox, I'm not sure what state that's in. Is that Connecticut, New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, or somewhere else, Robbie?
No, I'm in Lenox, Massachusetts, in the Berkshires. I grew up in Port Chester, Rybrook, so I've been a Clemson fan for 37 years.
There you go.
Guys,
well, thanks for calling today.
Yeah. I even interviewed when I was a kid. Now I'm almost 60. I've been my first Giant game, 1972, behind the poles at Yankee Stadium with my father, all right? The Giants won 60. They won 62-10 that day, and 2 interceptions from Carl Spider, Lockhart.
And Norm Snead and Randy Johnson were the Giants' 2 quarterbacks. I remember it well.
Wow. That's correct. I can't believe that's right, John. We've been talking for years.
No, this is Paul, Robbie. That's okay. Trust me, John would have no idea about the 72 Giants.
That's right. Schmeelk's overseas. I forgot it was you, Paulie. Anyway, listen, guys.
Football encyclopedia over here.
Yeah, right. It's a football encyclopedia. That's right. Anyway, guys, listen. My first problem, and I miss my radio show. I'm going back up to Massachusetts. I do it with my good buddy Ralph Romeo over. The better known as Ralph in Manhattan on the fan all the years. Anyway. Said hi up to Ralph. But anyway, this is the point I have to make about the Giants. Look, it's a combination of mistakes. It's a combination of the quarterback. They have talent. I just feel that there needs to be more accountability. Guys need to be angrier. This reminds me a lot, guys, of 1979, 1980, when the Giants still had some pride with their defense. I'm very disappointed in the defense right now, in Shane Bowden. Is it the talent? I got you guys. Is it the talent? Is it the scheme? You got Fabio Carrique. You signed him. He had 11 tackles today. You know what Dexter Lawrence is all about. You went out and you signed Burns. What's the problem with the Giant defense? The secondary, is young. I'm willing to give this young team. Think about this, guys. Think about Tracy next year with a new quarterback. What did the Washington Redskins do? Sorry, the Washington Commanders. I call them the Commodores anyway. What did the
I get it, Robbie.
Commanders,
trust me.
What did they do? So what did they do? Right? Okay, they went out and they got themselves a quarterback, and look how much better they are. I know their schedule's been a little light, but they got themselves a quarterback, guys. Just think of this team with a winning, consistent quarterback behind an improved offensive line with Jalen Hyatt and Malik Neighbors, a young tight end, and Tracy, and just see how much better they're going to do with the young quarterback. They got to get a different quarterback. That's it. And the coach, I have problems with him. I think you got to keep it simple. I go back to Bill Parcells. Keep it simple. When Tracy's running the ball well, please don't put the game in the hands of Daniel Jones. Just like in San Francisco in the Super Bowl, and they tried to put the hands of a quarterback to me who wasn't good enough, except, the running game was much better with the 49ers. They blew it because he tried, to make a Garoppolo throw the football. So just don't put it in the hands of Daniel Jones. What do you guys think? And I'll let you go. I appreciate the time, guys, as always.
All right, Robbie, thanks for the call. Now, as of this past week, going into this weekend's games, the Giants had 27 drop passes, including half of them that would have been conversions for first downs beyond the sticks.
27 is a crazy number.
The Washington Commanders had single digits. I believe their number was at 8 or 6. I know they were in single digits. Wow. So let me ask you a question. Robbie, I know you're already gone, so I'm going to ask you, Jonathan. How do you think Jaden Daniels would feel if going into today's action he had another 20 or so drop passes than what he's had so far from his Commanders teammates? Do you think his numbers would be as good? Would he have won as many games? I would submit to you not.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's like I said, you can't blame one person. Like you can't do that. The Giants digging themselves in the hole the last 2 weeks is not strictly on Daniel Jones. It's the defense allowing rushing yards. It's the defense allowing big plays. It's receivers not catching the football. It's the penalties that happen, right? And was it Ron that we were just speaking
Robbie.
Robbie? Sorry, Rob. Last week, the Giants ran the ball for 140 yards in the first half. I know it was like 115 in the first quarter, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, Tracy had, I believe it was almost 60 by himself, right? Or was it 80? I can't even
remember
like that,
now
but
what it
was.
They definitely had over 100 rushing yards in the first half, which is great, right? But what was the score at the end of the first half?
Oh, they were down.
It was 21-7.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's running is working, but is it really working if you only have 7 points? So I hear your point, but at the same time, you look at the Giants' pass rush, right? Some of these stats are almost misleading stats because the number one stat that truly matters is the win-losses.
That's it.
That is the number one stat.
Well, that's the only stat that gets you into the playoffs.
Right. And the number 2 stat that matters is the turnover ratio. And the Giants are not doing well in that regard. And they lost, 3-0 today? Did they get a turnover today? The Giants created a turnover
they
today?
did. They got a fumble recovery.
Right. Yeah, the fumble recovery. So the Giants lost 3-1 today. The reason why the Giants' record is, you can point directly to that. The Giants don't take the ball away enough. They only have 1 interception on the year. The Giants are not turnover crazy on offense. They don't really turn the ball over that much. Today was 3, but they're not leading the league in turnovers. But they're at the bottom half of the league when it comes to the ratio because they don't take the ball away enough. That has nothing to do with the offense. Takeaways is strictly defense. And the reason why I'm putting emphasis on that because they're very much capable of doing that. If I'm not mistaken, Bobby Okereke himself was responsible for 6 turnovers last year, if I'm not mistaken. He was a guy that did it very frequently in the passing game and the run game. So for me, I'm a defensive guy. I'm not going to blame my quarterback. I'm going to look internally. Yeah. First of all, I'm going to look at myself, and then I'm going to look at my room, my linebacker room, and then I'm going to look around as well. But I'm going to look at myself first. That's what Dexter said. That's what his comment said. You got to look at yourself first. Improve yourself, And for me, I'm a defensive guy. I want the defense to play better because they can. And sometimes when you have a struggling offense, a defense that can hold a team to 14 points will give this offense more hope, will give them more possessions and more chances to score. And look, there's no question that the offense is struggling. They're at the bottom when it comes to points. They're at the bottom when it comes to touchdowns. The bottom of the league. I get it. But the defense is built from the bottom up. When I say the bottom, Dexter Lawrence is playing some really good football. Burns had a great game today. Started fast, got hurt, came back in the game. There's nobody playing harder than the defenders. They have to figure out a way to get the offense more possessions because that's what they need.
All right, real quick, I want to get to Wan'Dale Robinson for just a minute. He's one of those young, maturing, growing players that the Giants are going to be counting on. Of course, again, this coming after today's loss.
I don't know what's going on with the back end, with the running backs, with the line, with the quarterback, so I don't want to put anything on them. And obviously, if I feel like if the play could have worked, it would have worked. So I have to watch it and see what was going on. So
2-8, where do you guys go from here?
We're going into the bye. Everybody just get some recoup, get away from football for a little bit at the end of the week. But obviously, coming to work on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and still got some business to handle, and the season's not over. We're still far from over, and we can't just go out there and lay an egg for the rest of the year. So I'm still going out there to get wins.
Do you feel like you need to make major changes?
That's above my pay grade, and that's not what I'm here to do. I'm here to play football.
Wan'Dale Robinson as the Panthers beat the Giants over in Germany in overtime, 20-17. Giants Extra Point was brought to you by Citizens, the official bank of the New York Giants. Citizens is made for Giants fans. Hackensack Meridian Health, keep getting better. Peerless Boilers, the world's best built boilers. And brought to you by Moody's, Decode Risk, Unlock Opportunity. Learn more at moodys.com. For Jonathan Casillas, I'm Paul Dottino. John Schmeelk and our entire crew are heading back from Germany. Safe travels, fellas. Don't forget, we're back in 2 weeks, Sunday, November 24th. The Giants and Tampa Bay Buccaneers at MetLife Stadium for a 1 p.m. kickoff. Our coverage here on The Fan begins with the pregame show at 11 a.m. Until then, so long, everybody.
Whether you're ordering wings for the game, whipping up a 7-layer dip, or ordering pizza, there's something about football that makes you want to eat. And this football season, Uber Eats has the best deals on game day food no matter what you're craving. From 2-for-1 pizza to buy one, get one wings. Uber Eats will be dropping new deals each week all season long. Uber Eats, the official on-demand delivery partner of the NFL. Order now for game day. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details.
Lowe's knows you want to get even more value for the holiday. That's why as a My Lowe's Rewards member, you get new member deals on holiday decor, tools, and more. And you earn points when you shop. More points equal more rewards to help you save on holiday and more. Not a member? Join for free today at lowes.com/MyLowe'sRewards because Lowe's knows deals. Program subject to terms and conditions. Points are awarded on eligible purchases. See lowes.com/terms for full details subject to change.